one of the big things we did back, I want to say it was probably October of last year, that Airbnb announced their big changes, first change in like, I don't know, 10 years or something like that. And one of the big emphases that they put on it was pet friendly. It was both said and not said, but clearly demonstrated in their video. And so we made an active decision to go pet friendly about a month and a half later. And my condition with my wife was, if we're going to do that, there can't be any carpet in the house.
That's when you changed out all the floors.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep. So we swapped out all carpet into LVP, so that we wouldn't have to worry about that element either.
Welcome to The Breakthrough with Stephen Husted, the show that takes you behind the scenes with successful entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and other movers and shakers in the business world. In each episode, we'll sit down with our guests to explore their personal and professional journeys, including the challenges they faced, the breakthrough moments that propelled them to success, and the strategies and the tactics they used to get there. Get inspired by new ideas and strategies and get to know our guests on a deeper level. Join us for candid conversations, powerful insights, and plenty of breakthrough moments. Please help us grow by subscribing and sharing the podcast, and welcome to the show. Hey there, it's Stephen Husted, and I'm excited for today's episode. We got Tony Huston with us, who will walk us through short-term rentals and real estate trends. Get ready for some serious insights. We're going to break down the essentials, focusing on what makes hosting successful. We'll talk about location vibes, amazing views, and amenities that attract guests like crazy. Tony will share his advice on staying ahead with maintenance to ensure your guests have a blast. Tony and I also will discuss property decor secrets, the advantages of direct bookings, and the best opportunities for sellers in the real estate market. It's not just talk, we'll give you actionable tips. And for those of you looking to buy your first home, don't go anywhere. Tony has a playbook for tackling challenges and seizing opportunities. Well, I'm glad I could get you on. I know that we had a little issue last time. You were out in the Smokies working on one of your cabins and got the time zone mixed up.
Yeah, I forgot to sync my phone with my watch, and I was watching the watch, not the phone. Blew it. Totally blew it.
Yeah.
It was all me.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I appreciate you jumping on. I thought that we would have a good episode to kind of give people some background on short-term rentals and the good, the bad, the ugly, what the market looks like right now, because
we've seen all of it.
Definitely different. I know, in such a short period of time.
Yeah,
it seems like. Yeah. Well, I guess we could start off. So I met you because the owner that owned 3 cabins on our street sold all 3 at a very good time and made a lot of money.
Yes, he did.
He was, I think, a very smart man as far as what he was doing. But, so you bought a cabin, I bought a cabin, Sarah bought a cabin.
Yep.
We're on one street. It's relatively short street, private. I think this is my thought on it. When we bought it, we didn't see it. We didn't go in person. We bought it online, talked to our agent. But, I noticed that I really liked the view. The view was like just the biggest selling point for me, and being at the end of that court, just parking. But it wasn't until I flew out and was able to drive through Wares Valley and see the pool and the ponds and just the whole road and the amenities. I was like, man, this is absolutely amazing. Like This was I don't think we could have, in the market that we bought in, I will have to say that we probably paid a lot, and there was, a lot of different things going on. However, we have the best location with the view, with the privacy, with the amenities than I see in a lot of cabins that are just cookie cutter next to each other. I don't know. I think ours are the ones that are going to hopefully fare the weather of the kind of the cool down, so to speak. What's your takes on that?
I couldn't agree more. It's funny. We were similar in the point that we wrote our offer we'd never set foot in Tennessee when we wrote our offer.
Yeah, same with
And,
us.
and we got out there, we went out there for due diligence, actually stayed in the property. So we got like a weekend to kind of touch and feel it. And we walked away with the same thing. That view is 100% money. And over the course of the year, that I couldn't agree any more with you on just everything about that. That you know they're playing catch up now to build all these new builds that are cookie cutter cabins. They're putting pools in them. They're doing all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's suburbs, but it's a cabin looking house. We
Yes.
have true cabins in the mountains with a view, looking at the Smoky Mountains, and that is gonna pay time and time again.
Yeah, I agree. I was telling this to my wife. When I go to Hawaii, the one thing that I want when I go to Hawaii is I want an ocean view.
Sure.
I want to see the ocean. I want to wake up. When I go to something tropical, I just want to get up and experience something that I don't experience on my normal mornings. And I feel that is the same thing that I get when I go to the cabin. I don't even care about what the inside looks like, honestly. I mean, is it great to have it all, modernized and everything? Sure. But I love getting up and just going and seeing floor to ceiling windows and then the view. It's just amazing,
It
and
is.
does Sarah have a view like ours as well? Do we all three have just different types of focal points of the
I
view?
think I think it is. Yeah, I think she still has a view from her cabin as well, if I recall.
Hmm.
And yeah, she has the smallest. Obviously, it's kind of like you have the Papa Bear cabin, I have the Mama Bear, and she has the Baby Bear.
That's good. I like that one.
But yeah, I think we all have pretty incredible views.
Yeah, that's good. So why don't you break down what you've had to do to your cabin so far?
Holy cow! It's funny. I will start with this. Our first year, gross revenue, we came close to doubling what the previous owner had told us he was generating in revenue. And I will say that because it was obviously pretty obvious to us because he put no money into those cabins.
Yes,
He
correct.
and so we ran into some deferred maintenance that we decided to tackle right up front. So we redid two of the three bathrooms right out of the gate. I had my brother fly out with me, and we spent almost 2 weeks out there just swinging a hammer. So we did those two bathrooms. We did all new kitchen appliances, so refrigerator, stove and oven, and dishwasher. And we replaced all that. Went to stainless from old white, just ugly looking stuff.
I
Um,
didn't know you had white in there.
yeah, and then our first round we did that Miracle Method countertop coating. We just weren't ready to do like a quartz or something like that initially. But what we found was if within about 7 or 8 months, it was feeling the wear already. So we decided to go ahead. We actually went ahead and painted our kitchen cabinets, kind of got a little less wood. We were trying to get away from the
Yes.
overused bear theme, if you will.
Yes. Yes. I
And
thought the cabin looked great. The color looked amazing. I think it helps. We're going to do the same thing, but I think it helps break up just feeling like there's so much of the same wood throughout
right.
everything. So I think it was smart.
Yeah, and then we
Yeah.
went ahead and we added quartz countertops late this last, let's see, I guess middle of this year is when we did that. And it really changed the whole vibe of the kitchen. And we have since replaced pretty much all of the furniture in the house. We kind of did that in cycles. You learn about things. Bed bugs are, come and go out in that area. And, anything we've learned that attracts them, we get rid of. And so,
And why don't you break down what that is?
yeah,
Because you told me something I didn't know.
so the big thing that we learned is that you need like anything like log furniture, for example. If there's little cracks or crevices in those logs, those bed bugs can get in there, and that's where they'll lay eggs, and just it's nasty. And as soon as we learned that, we were immediately ordering new metal bed frames and having the others taken out. And so, we just, our whole goal with everything is to be ahead of the game on preventative stuff.
Correct.
We want the best experience for our guests every single time they come out. And we have found the best way to do that is don't wait for something to break, you
Yeah.
know.
Be proactive.
Yeah, absolutely. So we didn't have a hot tub in our cabin when we purchased it, so we had to buy a new hot tub for that. We've updated deck furniture. We've gone through all of that. And then we've just tried to do some little touches, like you mentioned the ponds earlier. One of the things that I did is I added a couple of spinning reels and a couple of fly rods and a tackle box that my guests can use anytime they're there.
Yeah.
So
And you got a good story. You got a really good story from a guest on that.
yeah,
Isn't that
probably.
correct?
Yeah, early fall, we had a guest that they got pretty excited when they saw the fishing poles, and I had just followed up with them after their stay and said, "Hey, did you have any luck with fishing?" And she said, "Yeah, my son caught a 21-inch bass." And so they were
That's
super
crazy.
stoked. Yeah, in these little ponds.
But that pond, I don't know which one. Was it in the community one or the one right at the end of the road?
I think it was the community one.
Okay.
Because I was out there a couple of weeks ago, and we actually fished in the little one at the bottom of the road. And
Yes.
and what I saw, there's a big white carp in there, and then there's just a bunch of small bluegills.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that he caught it in the big pond.
Okay. Well, that pond is like something out of a movie. Like the backdrop of it, it's
Oh
so
yeah,
beautiful, man. It's like
yeah,
people just don't know. It's funny. When we bought the cabin, I was telling, some friends and family, like, yeah, we bought a cabin out Smoke. They're like, where is that? They're like, out in Tennessee. I'm like, yeah, out in Tennessee.
yep,
It's beautiful. Like you have to see it, but everybody mostly in California, when they want to go to the mountains, they'll go to, Tahoe or
sure.
Big Bear and stuff like that. So it's not on their radar, but man, it's
It's
gorgeous.
it's funny the questions you get, isn't it? When you
Yes.
first say, yeah, it's in Tennessee, and they're like, oh, do you have family there? Did you grow up there? I'm like, no, no, you know. And honestly, I tell them, I said, look, I said, it it's math. It made sense from an investment
Yeah.
perspective. The numbers made sense, so we jumped on
Yes.
it.
Do you like when you go out there? Have you gone out there and just chilled and enjoyed it? Or you're always going out there and doing stuff like we are?
We tried. We've tried. We probably this last trip, just my younger brother and I went out, and we still ended up doing quite a few projects. But we did actually go over the Smokies to the North Carolina side and did a half day float we had a guided float trip fly fishing
Oh,
over
wow.
in Bryson City.
Oh, cool.
And it was pretty
How'd that
awesome.
go?
It was great.
Yeah.
We both caught fish. Just had a great day. Got about, we literally fished till dark, and it was amazing.
Wow. That's really cool. What else have you done out there?
So we've done I'll probably screw up the name, but I think it's the Tuckaleechee Caverns over in Townsend.
Hmm.
They're cool. They are
What's that?
there. So it is literally just a cavern that was in someone's backyard, and they monetized it. It's like a little visitor center now. They've got a little store in the house, and then you go down some sketchy stairs and down into this thing. And this cavern is probably, I want to say in total, you walk about a mile and a half through this cavern.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's
Oh,
incredible.
I like Townsend.
Yeah,
Townsend's
I
kind of
do
cool,
too.
right?
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've
Uh,
looked for property over there because I love the river that runs through Townsend. It's great.
yes. Yeah. I saw a really cool campsite that somebody built out, like a glamping site,
Oh yeah.
brand new.
Yeah.
Like it looks super cool.
Yeah.
Like I think
That's
that would be a great little. I showed it. I showed it to Bill, and Bill's like, "Oh, sell the cabin. Let's buy that." I'm like, "No,
it's funny
we're
because
going all in on this. Let's stay
yeah.
here."
It's funny. I think you probably felt a similar thing because you guys closed about the same time we did. I think when we closed on our place, we had to do a jumbo on ours at that time, and I think the rate was like 4 1/8, and I was pissed. I'm like, man, we're getting screwed. We're getting screwed. And within 2 months after, I'm like, we are so good.
Yeah, you are so good. I mean, we put down a ton of money and we're still, yeah, we had nothing we could do about it because
Yeah.
you couldn't rate lock. And so every week the loan officer would call and go, rates just went up again. I'm like, oh my gosh, just close this loan. Yeah. I think we're in like the sixes. I think
Are you
from
really?
what I read.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
when we bought our second one, we ended up at like 7.25 on our second one out there. And it was literally half the price, but our payment is only about $1,000 difference between the two.
Correct. Yeah. Isn't that
It's
crazy?
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. So on that second, so when you bought the second one, how did those numbers pencil out and how's that one performing?
Well, I'll tell you, there was a learning curve for sure because, as you know, with the bigger cabins, we tend to see bookings that come in with a lot more lead time, 2, 3, 4 months or more out. So you get to
Yep.
see your calendar fill up well in advance and you feel all warm and fuzzy about it. Then we bought this little cabin because it'll sleep six. Really, it's four because we have two kings and a sofa sleeper. And what we found with that, we had a few moments of panic because it wouldn't book up until like within the month. And then all of a sudden we'd start getting bookings. And what we found is the bigger cabins, it's typically going to draw multifamily. So you're going to have kids, their parents, the grandparents are all going to come there. And so they all have to coordinate, which is great. Um, the smaller ones, we find we get a lot of couples or, just single families that come in, mom and dad and the kids. And so they'll just decide, hey, let's book someplace for the weekend, next weekend.
Right. And
And
just take off. Yeah.
yeah,
Last
yeah.
minute.
So, so you just have to manage it differently. Honestly, what I have seen that's been one of the biggest challenges is just watching the platforms are constantly tweaking things that helps them and not necessarily helping us, and so
Yeah.
you have to constantly stay on top of what those changes are.
Yeah, we're doing that today. It's one thing after another after another. It's not set it and forget it like it used to be.
Right, right.
That's different. It's a whole different ballgame.
So I know one of the big things we did back, I want to say it was probably October of last year that Airbnb announced their big changes, first change in like, I don't know, 10 years or something like that. And one of the big emphases that they put on it was pet friendly. It was both said and not said, but clearly demonstrated in their video. And so we made an active decision to go pet friendly about a month and a half later. And my condition with my wife was if we're going to do that, there can't be any carpet in the house.
That's
So
when you changed out all the floors,
yeah,
huh?
yep. So we
Yeah.
swapped out all carpet into LVP, so that we wouldn't have to worry about that element either.
Yeah, and we followed your lead on that too
And I
and
don't know
went pet
about you, but
friendly.
it sure made a difference for us. I think I'll bet probably 70-80% of our bookings have a dog.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We just had one that had a service dog and it was from Airbnb and I saw on the camera that they, didn't pay and then they came back and I'm just like, okay, whatever,
Yeah. Yeah,
let it slide.
yeah, exactly. You learn your pain tolerance and what you're willing to deal with. I think we also have to put up with a lot more crap in the beginning until we get our reviews established, because our attitude from the beginning was like, oh, don't let anything screw up. And anymore, we're like, did they break anything? We're good, you know?
Yeah, we've had a hard time on, honestly, Will, did you take over the past owner's reviews?
We did not. No, we did not get those switched over.
He didn't ask you if you wanted them or anything like
No,
that for Verbo?
no, he didn't.
And did he have a lot of them?
He had a fair amount. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was
Yeah,
almost, I want to say he was almost all verbo, but he was
he
also
was.
kind of a jerk. And, because we had looked through and we're like, I don't know if we want that history, you know?
Oh, okay. Ours were better. Ours were better and we took them.
That's good.
Which I think it helped us, but my whole motto was kind of similar to you. It's like, look, if this guy could be pulling off what he was pulling off doing nothing,
Yeah,
that I know we can go in there and stabilize this better. But
totally.
I think the biggest problem that occurred was he was getting the maxed rate during COVID
Right.
for not doing anything. Okay. So
Yep.
that's one thing. Then we go in and we get rid of all the crap. You know, we change out 95% of all the furniture.
Right.
You know, we do, you know, all the things we possibly do to modernize it, minus doing updates as far as bathrooms and things like that. So it looked better. And then we took professional photos,
Right.
which I know is a big key to it. And he
Mm-hmm.
didn't. He had a lot of bulky furniture in there. It felt cramped. So we got stuff out. And so obviously it shows better. Then we had a major plumbing issue that cost $10,000. We replaced all the toilets to better flow, efficiency toilets,
Sure.
got that, had to deal with some AC issues, took care of that, did the roof. We had to do all new screws to the roof. So we did all these like non-sexy items.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we went in reverse. You were doing, so I'd talk to Bill and go, well, you know, Tony got this done. He got this done. We're here spending money on plumbing. Like no one cares about the plumbing. Like they just want it to work, but we had to do it. And so now we've just been playing like the catch up of like, I know what needs to be done to that cabin. I know what would make it better. I know what will make it perform better, but it's just going to take time. Like, you know, what's getting done today, like as we speak.
Tell me.
The hot tub is getting delivered finally.
Nice.
We just had to bite them. I'm like, dude, let's get a business line of credit and let's go 0 APR and let's put it on there and let's, you know, get going. Because I think we lost a lot of bookings because of the hot tub. Like they didn't want to deal with just the community one. So
for sure. And especially in the winter, you know, I mean, we're going into like the time when people, you know, it's cool outside. You know, there's nothing better than sitting in a hot tub when it's nice and cold outside, you know?
Yeah.
And just really soaking it up.
I'm concerned about the bears.
Yeah.
Because we're definitely, there's something about our location. There's bears.
Absolutely.
We hear our guests. Do your guests talk about seeing bears all the time?
So off and on, you know, what we've had quite a few comments on it. You know, it's funny. We originally had a wicker love seat next to the front door, you know, with our sign of our cabin, the name of our cabin. It was kind of like the spot for your Instagram moment. And what was funny is that each night we would see guests that would take that love seat and turn it perpendicular on the deck, thinking that's going to prevent a bear from coming up onto the deck. And we would just giggle going, yeah, you know, it's not going to help at all.
No.
But did you put the hot tub on the main deck, on the main level deck, or did you go down?
Main deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Main deck corner. Like if you go out the back door, it's going to be all the way in the right tucked. And that's where it was, I think, before. I think it's got the best view and I think it has enough room there and we can still do, you know, all the chairs and the tables and all that.
Sure. Yeah. You know, and I find the bears don't bother much. I mean, they tend to come around. I've seen them like, I'm trying to think the times that I've seen them on the cameras where it's been like noon or so. Otherwise, it's late at night, and they're usually not coming around if people are around, you know? So I think that's pretty good.
Did I tell you the story of the lady who reached out to me and said, hey, we had the bear come on the deck. They were outside on the deck having breakfast. This is great. They're out on the deck having breakfast, having their porridge.
Oh, no.
She said, I was laughing. She's like, yeah, we saw a bear. We wanted to see a bear. No, we saw a bear. We saw the bear. We saw the cubs. And so I go look on the camera and they're out there having breakfast. And here comes the bear around the corner like, hey, what's up, everyone? And they just get up.
Holy cow.
They just get up and go inside. And then the three bears go up to the table and they eat their porridge.
Are you serious? Oh, that's amazing.
And they sat there in video watching the bears eat. I was cracking up. Too. I think.
What are the odds?
But they'll get up on that deck rail. I'm surprised a big bear could actually. I think that's why some of the rails were damaged. I think it's from the bear. I think so. We had to replace those. This last time around, we got a lot of things done. We repainted the deck. We did the landscaping in the front. Took care of that. We took your advice. We got the fishing poles. We built that whole scenario out. We got the carpets cleaned downstairs and all the rugs. We
Awesome.
only have carpet in that downstairs game room.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why I didn't opt to put the hot tub on that deck, is because, quite frankly, they would go in and then they'd have to truck through the carpet with wet feet and then go up those
Sure.
stairs. And those stairs it's not made for, if you have any kind of mobility, or I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
They're super steep. So I think that putting it where we're putting it is going to work. We got bulletproof rocking chairs. So we got rid of the wooden ones. We bought some in Townsend that are like lifetime guarantee. They're black. They're like a hard composite plastic.
The Polywood, I think it's called. Yeah. We just bought a bunch of those rockers ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So so we're on that same path as you. Like, we broke the Lazy Boy chairs. What it didn't even lasted a little over a year. I was like, nah, let's get rid of this. Like, screw this. Get something that's a little bit more, can get a little bit more wear and tear. Because what people were doing is they were taking the chair and pushing it back, either playing on it or they were sleeping on it. Like, it's not to be slept on. And so those got ruined quick. So as you were saying, you always are going through the property to figure out the best way to make it so things won't break, that they would last a little longer. You put a little bit of thought into it, maybe a little bit more money, but at the end of the day, it saves you from having to like constantly be doing different types of turns. So,
well, the proactive piece of it is far less stressful than the panic when something breaks and a guest is there.
Yes,
because it's going to cost you revenue and it's going to cost you the repair simultaneously in most cases. You know, and it's
the
just,
guest.
Yeah. If something bad happens and the guest has to bail, there goes your revenue for that stay.
Yeah, absolutely. Is yours is it a 2-story or is it 1-story?
So
Does it have a loft?
It actually has a loft too. So we have 2 stories plus the basement. So,
okay. Does the loft have a bedroom and a bathroom too?
Yeah. So we have a bedroom and a full bathroom, actually with like a freestanding tub. That's pretty cool. And then we have a separate shower. And that's kind of like, we treat that as one of the primary bedrooms. And then on the main floor, we have a bedroom. And then downstairs in the basement, we have basically the landing where the stairs come down. There's kind of an open area there. We have a smaller queen size bed there. And then we have another room that we use as a bedroom. And we knew going into it that it doesn't have an egress. And so we've actually been bidding that out now to have a window cut into that room because, we know it's coming. So we're trying to get ahead of that now too.
That's on the
inspection thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's break that down. The inspections.
Yeah. So, it's a little unnerving. I think we're all in a pretty good spot, but they have, Sevier County announced an inspection system that they're going to be implementing in 2024. And it has to do with, there's going to be rules about where your grills can be. They have to be a certain distance from, the structure, and every room that is a bedroom has to have an egress. And, so you can't just be cramming beds into closets and all of this stuff if there's not a way out.
Yeah.
And, and I think a lot of it is good. I think where the challenge could be is if you're in a situation where you have to retrofit something major. Like, I'm not sure what the I wasn't going to say body count, but how many people you can sleep can also determine if you need the fire suppression system installed. Like the full sprinkler system inside. So that's one of the things that they're looking at with some of the larger cabins. So you almost treat it like an apartment complex.
Yeah, that's interesting. That could be a big problem for people, for some.
Yeah, for sure.
In the barbecue, what's the deal with the barbecue grill? That makes sense. I mean, they do it in HOAs.
Yeah.
in condos.
The funny thing, and I can't get my head around this honestly because everyone keeps talking about having the charcoal grills, like the camp grills out on the driveway or something like that. But you've been there. I'm sure when the winds have kicked up through that canyon, and it goes 0 to 60, 0 to 80 miles an hour winds at the drop of a hat. And
Yes.
and if someone's
And
got a charcoal fire out there, you can't just put that out. People are going to bail and save themselves. Whereas a char or like a propane grill, you just turn it off and go in.
I never thought of that actually, Tony. We had that little small dinky one out in front of the house,
Yeah,
and it seems like it's always been a problem for people because they have to, the kitchen is so far away from it and they
right.
grill. We've even had people setting up like a table and chairs and put their car lights on and literally eat in front of that grill
No
out front.
kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and this lady was staying and she had a big group and she was really homing in on the grill. Like, how big is it? And I just told Bill, I'm like, screw it. Let's go buy one. So we
Yeah,
did. And it's exactly where the hot tub is currently.
sure.
And it's charcoal, because we were hearing about charcoal is easier for guests to use. And if the propane runs out, you don't have to be, scrambling to get it done. But
Right.
I think you brought up a good point. That's a way to get sparks in the air. And
Well,
that's a way to start fires.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you, so we have at both of our cabins, we have a propane grill and we have a propane fire pit on the deck, which that is another thing that may or may not survive the inspection systems. But again, I go, they're controlled. I don't see why that should be a problem. I guess we'll find out. But to the propane side, so we have probably between the two properties, we probably have like 10 5-gallon tanks now of propane. So you figure
We do.
you've got one on the grill, you've got one on the fire pit, and then I tell my cleaners to always have two extras on the property at all times.
Where do you
So
store them?
so I store them out on the deck near, usually on the same level where they are. And what I actually did, I just had signs made that says extra propane with an arrow. And I had them because we got to be very deliberate.
Yes. You have to. Do
So
you
we
have a
actually,
5-star review sign?
yeah, we do. We have some that we put them on our fridge in both places asking for
Same
them.
with us.
And then we
Okay.
put it in our messaging in the beginning and in the end.
Yes.
And,
Same with us.
I have found, we use Hospitable as the system that we use for communication. And I have found it to be really well done. It's super user friendly. I like how it integrates with Wi-Fi locks or deadbolts. I just wish their reporting was more robust. They basically give you a data download and then you have to go sort it. And but our messaging I think has been on par, and we have never had a complaint that we don't communicate.
Yeah, that's great. And that platform that's a big question I get from people that live here in California. Like, how do you
Uh-huh.
manage it from far away? And I just pull out my phone and go, right here.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, it's right here.
Honestly.
Like, and then I explained to him, like, look, we get a booking. Our cleaner gets it on her calendar. Everybody goes into motion. I mean, we don't spend more than, an hour a week really tweaking out things,
Oh
honestly.
yeah. Yeah, we're the
I
same.
mean, yeah, but I mean, I'm thinking about things all the time. Uh, we just saw that there's a way on Verbo. Do you get a lot of bookings on Verbo? Or are you mostly
We
Airbnb?
we get more on our small cabin than we do on the big one. The big one's almost nothing. It's
Really?
rare. Yeah.
Okay, so we're like the rebels on how here we get 80% Verbo
No
and
kidding.
20% Airbnb, and it seems like every time we have Airbnb guests, they're a nightmare.
No
Like,
kidding.
yes, absolutely. For the most part, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. Or it's hard to get reviews. The Verbo guests seem to be older.
Yeah.
They're coming with families. Sometimes they've never even used a short-term rental by the questions they ask, things
Sure.
like that. I don't know. I I definitely think for the most part, 95% of the people that book, pretty nice people,
Yeah,
all said and done.
we have seen the same. We've had, you could probably count them on one hand of bad guests. And we've seen some things like we had a brand new sofa sleeper in our little cabin, and the first guest that stayed there after we got it in broke it, and then didn't tell us and tried to fix it with a hanger. So they tried to wire it back together with a wire hanger, and I'm just like, dude, just tell
Just tell
us.
us. Yeah.
And we know stuff happens, but yeah, it's comical, some of the stuff.
How's the bigger cabin for the month of January and February right now look?
I'd have to think.
We're
I want
slow.
to. Are you? Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not horrible, but I was trying to think. I should have looked at that before we got on. But it's not. It's not. We're probably 40-50%. I'm guessing off the top of my head of where we were. But that's typical. It's typical to what it was last year. I haven't seen us much different than we were a year ago in a lot of
Interesting.
ways.
Okay.
Our revenue is actually inching up little by little. Our challenge right now, our latest challenge is, I don't know if you've seen, but Airbnb now on their, when you have your pet fee on there, when a guest books with a pet, it rolls into their nightly rate. And so what it's doing is it's confusing the guest. And so we keep getting messages going, I can't tell if I paid my pet fee or not. And then we have to
Interesting.
go in and check it. And it's just creating confusion. And I think that's honestly by design. I think
By design.
I think Airbnb is doing that so that we'll give in to their whims on, you know, just don't charge a pet fee is what they're ultimately trying to get to.
Bring up your average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what they've also been able to do by doing that is by rolling it into the reservation or the nightly stay. Now they can also charge a fee on top of that. So they're now taking a percentage on your pet fee as well. So if you're at, let's say you're at, say, $200, the guest is going to be paying like, I don't know, 210, 220, something like that, whatever their fee is.
Where's your
So
pricing been for, like, have you had to make some big adjustments on pricing, or are you been steady, pretty much the same?
we've been pretty good. We're still doing dynamic. And, we've got people that have already booked into summer of next year.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those nights on the big cabin are probably, $600-700 a night on that one. We try and keep, the further out we are, we keep it high.
Right. That's,
Just
yeah.
as till we get closer. But we're still, we've come up a little bit from last year. We've had to kind of watch, like we have really fought to not get into the race to the bottom on pricing. That's why we keep looking for our value adds. What can we do to add to the experience so that we don't have to just rely on lowering our price to get bookings?
That's what we're trying. We're doing a mixture of both.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good, we can't complain. We had a solid run from April until now.
Sure.
We got our December is good. January and February is slower. So
And
we're
that's
going to
typical,
That's typical. We're going to start working on it. But the thing is, the minute you really start racing to the bottom,
Where do
you're
you
also
go?
getting, yeah.
Then where do you go?
Yes. Yeah. And you get a certain type of guest.
Right. You
too.
do. And we're not willing to do that. We're not willing to cater to that guest.
Yeah. They are, you wonder, you're like, look, you're getting a 4-bedroom, 3-bath cabin, for a price that you could go get a hotel with a view. You got to understand what you have in front of you.
Yeah,
especially when
totally.
you get hit on, I think we had one where they gave us a review of, like, for value, they gave us a 3. We're like, value?
Really?
For that spot? Like, are you out of your mind? But, you have to kind of take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you get one guest that does that, and then you had the next one that I don't know if I told you this, but we've had 2 weddings on our deck
No
this year.
kidding.
Two weddings, full on weddings. Yes.
That's way cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And they all stay at the cabin for the most part. Probably 14, 16 people total. The last lady that got married on the deck, the only request she asked was, do you mind if we cover up your camera on the deck just for privacy during our ceremony? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. But they extended their stay. They loved it. And now they're going to make it into, that's where they got married. So they're going
Yeah.
to come back and hang
Lifelong
out there. And they
guest.
loved it. Yeah. This is the greatest. Yeah. Have you had return guests? People that are.
I don't think we have yet. It's really funny,
Okay.
but we just lapped ourselves in May of this year, and so we haven't really had a lot, but we get a ton of people that always say we're coming back next year. We get more and more of that. We'll see.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't been throughout every spot of, Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge and all those spots, but I just know that what I like when I'm there. I just love Wares Valley. I love going up that road. I like seeing the ponds and, we have a 1 minute steep section of the road. Which is not that big of a deal. And then it's just privacy.
And that's the thing. And you're still so close to everything.
Yes.
And that's what I like about it is you can have the best of both worlds where we are. You can feel like you're 1,000 miles from anything when really you're like 12.
Yes, and then you can get to Cades Cove and all the other spots.
Yeah,
it's a great thing. I'm glad you reached out at the beginning. It's been good. Well, how's Sarah been?
Sarah's been good. I think it was funny as we were talking. I saw her sending some messages as we've been talking. I have no idea what she's talking about, but she, she's been figuring out her cabin because she had. I think she sold a cabin that she initially had before she bought on our street. And then she has since purchased another one out there. So she spent some time. She's been putting that one together this summer and fall. But I think she's been live for a couple of months.
Where?
I think it's closer to Pigeon Forge.
Okay. She's going that route.
Yeah. I want to be as far away from that as I can. It's not my thing. And I'll tell you, have you been up over like to Klingman's Dome or the Newfound Gap up at the top? That's a good drive. So a lot of the typical or the very specific pictures you'll see of the Smokies often are done from the perspective of Newfound Gap, which is basically the summit of the Smokies. And that's the road that'll take you over to the other side into North Carolina.
And it has lookout points there?
Yeah. Yep. And the Appalachian Trail and that Appalachian Trail buzzes right through there. And then if you go, so there's a fork in the road at that rest area, if you will. And so you can go to the left and you head down into Cherokee and into Bryson City in North Carolina, or you go to the right and it'll take you to Klingman's Dome. And Klingman's Dome, you want to go on a sunny day, but if you get up there, there's a dome that has a concrete walk that winds up, and up at the top, I think you can see 3 states from there, and the views are spectacular. Really? Yeah, but it's a pretty steep, about a mile hike up. Okay. But it's all paved. It's just a steep sidewalk.
Good in the fall.
Yeah.
September was fantastic out there.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah, I was just like, the next time I go out there, I definitely want to be able to relax and enjoy just kicking back and taking in some of the things.
It is. It's so hard.
Instead of going to Home Depot and Lowe's.
Yeah. 14 times.
Yeah, I made a video about that. Let's see how many times I'm going to have to come back and either pick up more stuff or return stuff. I went crazy at Hobby Lobby getting Thanksgiving and Christmas stuff.
I know. It's crazy. It is. We one of the things we had to do this year was we ended up replacing all of our doors, our exterior doors.
Mm.
And it was mainly driven by, the ladybug season when those come in. We had a French door that before our deck was covered, it was getting full sun exposure, and so the door was warping, and so there wasn't enough weather stripping to solve for that. So we finally
Which
just
cabin?
that's
What cabin?
on one by you,
Okay.
because it was
Okay.
just it gets that western afternoon heat on that deck. And so we finally just said, yeah, we're just going to have to bite the bullet. And so we did steel doors, but that gave us again an opportunity to, you know, take a little bit of the country out of it, make it a little more modern feel. So we did like steel French doors with a nice modern dark color paint to it. So, and it
Yeah,
looks
it
great.
looks good. Yeah, I went on your deck. I thought, yeah, it looks really good, and the bathroom looks good. That's definitely on our radars to, kind of start modernizing the inside, paint the kitchen cap, get some of the wood, break it up,
Yeah, just break it up a little bit. That's really
just
all it
break it up a little
needs.
bit. Yeah, and then you reshoot more photos. I saw recently on a cabin through the short term shop Facebook page, nothing fancy, pretty much a cabin, grandma's, but he had a
Mm-hmm.
ton of photos. He had the floor plan, the Matterport floor
Yep.
plan in there. And then I think he had the Kira code in there. I don't know if that Kira code went to a video or what he had in there, but I think the floor plan thing is a good thing to have in there, especially when people are trying to figure out the sleeping arrangements. What do you
Sure.
think?
Yeah, I agree. We've used that. We've used a floor plan, and I do find that helpful. The QR code, we've been kicking that around for a while now for our guest book to do, to just make it available that way. But because right now it's just in our messaging as a link, we keep it on a shared drive and they can grab it that way. The other thing
Okay,
is,
that's same with us.
I know some people if they're offering a direct booking site later, that's one of the avenues to do that is you have a QR code in the cabin that'll direct them to that site. And it's
What's your
basically,
thoughts on that?
I think it's not a bad idea, because I think what it will give you, if it's going to a landing page, you're at least going to get all the contact info,
True.
and then you can market back to your guests to try and get, to encourage them to become repeat guests, you know, which Verbo will give you more contact information. Airbnb's is very limited in what they do. And I don't know as far as any of those other platforms what they do, but it is a way to capture more information.
Yeah, do we get their email?
On
We get their phone
Verbo,
numbers
on Verbo
on
you
Verbo.
get, yeah, I think you do get the
Okay,
email, but not
right.
and the phone number. And on Airbnb you just get phone numbers.
And that's easy to get if you have their number, you can get pretty much anything you want. You can
Sure.
put them on a text message kind of platform type thing.
Right. Like a CRM of
Um,
some sort.
yeah, absolutely. Do you do you think would you ever go the route of doing direct bookings and have a website? What's your thoughts on that? Do you feel like there's too much risk on, if you maybe got somebody who has never stayed in your cabin, and there's an issue there, or would you handle it by getting some type of bigger umbrella insurance policy to go
Yeah.
that route?
Yeah, I think, that's the trade-off, right? We have protections to some degree with the platforms. And when you go to that, what I've seen a lot of people do is they'll have some kind of lease agreement attached to it. There's always going to be some level of risk regardless, right? We've
True.
we've seen that. I see a lot of people, as you get into some of the like the short-term shop groups and you see some of the things that people complain about or they ask questions about, you're like, dude, I don't know if you're like, you may not be wired for this business, you
Yeah,
know, because if
it's
you're worrying,
hospitality.
if you're worrying about every little thing, you're just going to drive yourself crazy.
Stay off your cameras.
Yeah, 100%. You know, honestly, like I don't look at them. I let the footage run, and I wait for my cleaners to confirm that the guest left the property well, and I'll delete it. I just, I sort it, I select all, delete. The only exception is, if we're in a time when we're seeing a lot of bears, I'll do quick scrolls looking for bear on my, just captured in the camera somewhere, and I try and capture those. Otherwise, I don't want to know. You know, I'm
Okay,
much better
so
for it.
all right. Well, let's just lead into this so that we can tell anyone who's listening to this what not to do, because I'll tell them a story right now. Um, we had a very last minute booking. Airbnb came in 2 days. It was cheap. I think it was like a 680 payout for 2 days. And
Brutal.
yeah, so they check in, and I see them on the deck, and because I've had issues with these very last minute short term bookings
Mm-hmm.
through Airbnb, I always pay attention to them because they've always been a nightmare in one way or another. And so I see them go on the deck, and they're kind of rowdy and they're screaming and they're younger. And it's a different vibe than we typically will get on Verbo. It's
Sure.
that simple. Usually it's just parents with their kids and the grandparents. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So they stay. That's Friday night. No big deal. They didn't even bring food in. I think they were ordering food. They were, smoking cigarettes on the balcony, which is fine.
Sure.
Um, and then Saturday, 7 o'clock my time, I like, oh, I'm gonna just jump on there real quick and see. And I see the outside, and you know how we have all that parking. So we have
Yeah.
a lot of space right there. There's 9 cars and there's
Oh
people coming
no.
in, and they're bringing in beer and stuff. And I'm going, oh, here we go. Our
Yeah.
first party. Damn it. And
Oh,
I immediately look on the deck, and what seemed like, 100 people on the deck, it wasn't. It was probably about 15 maybe at that.
sure.
But they're loud and they're smoking, they're drinking, they're smoking weed. And I'm just watching, and I hear one of them say something. They reference the cameras, like, hey, there's cameras.
Uh-huh.
And so I just sat there, and of course, was kept looking, and I'm just, getting concerned, like what's going to go on. And they weren't getting too crazy. There was one kid later in the night that was getting ready to throw up off the deck, and they were filming him. And they would smoke on the deck, and then they'd go back inside, and then seemed like they're at the big table and playing games and just drinking. So
Sure.
I was concerned. And the following morning, 10 a.m., got on the cameras again. They were cleaning the table off in the deck, and they were throwing the trash out. They left exactly at 10 o'clock. They all got out. So then I, called Ruby, and I said, hey, I don't know what you're going to find when you go over there, but I need you to check the perimeter of the property for cigarette butts and any kind of beer cans. And if you could sweep the deck, because they were smoking a lot, and just really go through the property. She's like, they left it. There wasn't that bad. It was just had sticky floors, but other than that, no big deal. And we immediately got a review from them, but we haven't responded because I wanted her to first go through the property and make sure that
Right.
there wasn't anything broke.
Uh-huh.
And so now I'm going, okay, now we have to respond to this review. And what do you say? Hey, they partied, they hung out, they were younger, but they didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yep.
I guess that's the best outcome you could possibly have is, they didn't do anything. They just
Yeah.
they had a good place. And two, think about it. If they broke it up and they all pitched in, what a deal. What a great space to
Oh
kick
yeah.
back for a couple days, you know what I mean? And just
Yep.
not have to drive, could party, and you're in a nice, safe space. You got a great view. You can hang out with your friends, go down the road, get food, and bring it back up.
Right.
And there you go. So that makes sense. So there you
But
go.
man,
Stay off
the
the cameras.
nerves getting there can
Oh,
just
they were
be, oh,
stay. Rule of thumb: stay off your cameras unless
yeah.
you really need to get on them, because they will keep you up at night. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
It's funny. I have a neighbor on the other side of me that spends way too much time on his cameras. He has way too many, and he's not even doing the short-term rentals. He'll have friends show up once in a while that'll stay there. But oh my God, he nitpicks. Like if any of my guests are over the property line, because we share a driveway, that through driveway, if they're over the line, 6 inches, I'm getting texts about it. And, and I'm just like, dude, calm down. You know, if they're not causing you any grief and you don't have a guest there, don't sweat it. I wouldn't,
Yeah, what are
you
you so
know.
concerned about? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I was gonna
Um,
say too, just um, something that we've learned too is when you're doing like decor, and especially as a pet friendly property, one of the things we started going to with rugs, like, you know, big rugs for rooms, we started doing indoor outdoors, one because they were a lot less expensive and they're a lot more durable. And then if a dog, like we had one dog in our little cabin that the lady's dog crapped and peed all over this thing, and she didn't do a very good job cleaning anything, so we just tossed it.
got
And you're
rid of it.
like, it's like a couple $100 maybe, but you're done. And it doesn't just like give you heartburn, like, oh my god, I got to throw away a $700 rug or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. How do they look? They look the same
They
as
look great. If you look
where'd
at
you get them?
um I'd have to ask my wife. I think she might get them like at Wayfair. We did one from Walmart, like on a pinch, that we just needed something because we had one that it had a stain, and we're like, just get it out. We have a new guest coming. Let's just whatever we can get. We've done it on Amazon. I think we've gotten some there, but it's part of it is the cost of doing business, but it's a lot more tolerable if you didn't have to pay a fortune to get the rug in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you handle, I don't know if you do the same as me, but when we have things that we need for the cabin, do you ship it over to our cleaners?
Absolutely,
Yep. So
absolutely.
that's a great little scenario because that's a question I get asked a lot too is how do you deal with things that they break or you need supplies? And I say, well, I ship it right to my cleaners. So I
Yeah,
have it through Amazon. I order everything. I shoot a photo. I tell them, hey, it's on the way. They take it. They put it into the cabin. We're good to go. We have an owner's closet. We stock it up. We stock it up, hopefully to last for a year. And if it runs low, she lets us know. We order more, pack it up. There you go.
yeah.
It's
And I think we've been very fortunate with Ruby and Kirk because they've done a fantastic job.
Yeah, I agree.
And and it's we're always trying to be conscientious about not, you know, taking advantage of that with them. So like if we've got a bunch of stuff, we're like, hey, we still check in and say, is that all right? We've got a chair set or something coming or a table. You cool with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
She's removed all kinds of things for us, like those broken lazy boy chairs. She
oh
got those
yeah,
removed, went and picked up the new one that we bought, the love seat, she picked it up because I was like, well, they're going to charge me this to ship it. Why don't you guys go pay? I'd rather pay them
right.
and let them make money,
Absolutely. Yeah, and they've
you
been
know?
great about that. So
Do they take care of Sarah's too?
I think they do. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's cool.
And
Well,
what was funny, when we got our little cabin, we waited till we were in escrow and far enough along that we were like, hey, oh, by the way, we have another cabin and would you like to clean it? And when we gave them the address, they're like, literally, we're cleaning one across the street from that cabin. They
oh,
already
really?
had a familiarity with
Oh,
that
cool.
neighborhood. So yeah, it was a no-brainer for them, which was great.
That's good. How's, uh, how's work? How's business going for you
You know,
in your neck of the woods?
you
Tell
know,
me, tell me how
it's
your year's been.
yeah. Honestly, I've had one of the best years yet.
Really?
I've had a great year, and it's been really difficult for first timers. We've had a little bit of a stall, I would say, the last 30 days, where I think the rates people were just it's like they froze. They didn't know what to do. And like I have a transaction right now that's a sell, a buy, and their buyer has to sell. And we've got dominoes stacked. And but what's good is
Contingent, contingent, contingent.
contingent, yes. But what I found is, this is where having a good agent representing you that understands the market and understands the processes, we have conversations. We get on the phone and we say, hey, here's what's going on. Can we work this out? And we've had some great agents working through these transactions. Like, hey, this is the market now. We've got to work through it, and still we got to solve the problems for our clients. That's what
Right.
we
You got to
do.
pivot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's not been the same market over and over from the beginning I started in 2008. It's always changing one way or another. There's always
yeah,
something dynamic about it.
I feel for the first time home buyers right now. That's still the hardest segment of the market right now.
It's crazy. The
It is.
rates it's nuts.
Yeah,
With their buying power has shrunk so much.
and our median price on a house right now is about 550 here in Salt Lake. And and you start talking about, even if you're just putting like 5% down, you're probably going to have a $4,000 a month house payment. That would be terrifying as a first
It's
time home
nuts.
buyer,
It's crazy.
Yeah. So,
I don't
but,
know. It's
but
different here too.
yeah, yeah. How are you seeing it out there?
Well, I think we've had 2/3 of all the transactions in Silicon Valley have been cash,
No kidding.
and I think, yeah. And the buyers that are buying, they're well qualified and they have a lot of stock, and, they can weather the storm, put down more
Sure.
money, they can manipulate their down payment a little bit more. So it's kind of a different market, but, I had a conversation with a couple buyers that came through, my listing out in Santa Cruz, and yeah, they're like, God, this is tough. What we were looking for. And it's funny that there's some buyers that were coming through that had been looking for 2 years. And I'm like, well, what have you been waiting? What have you been waiting for?
Yeah,
What are you
yeah.
doing? Like this, you're in this position, because you're not really taking it too serious, or there's something that's hanging you up where you're not pulling the trigger. And whatever that is, somebody needs to help you,
Right.
figure that out and move on.
Yeah. Stop watching
That's
the
like the worst
news.
thing is
It's a
have to
good
sit
thing.
around. Yeah. Have you, I'm just like, wait, what a waste of time to have to sit around and look at houses for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like that's not how I'd want to spend my time.
No, not at
Absolutely
all.
not. So
Not at all.
I think sometimes they think that everything should line up a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Everything should fall in place. And that's just not really how real estate is. There's always things changing, and there's little nuances to it that you have to adapt to. And, some people get it, some don't.
Yeah.
That's all.
I do think there's an opportunity right now for people that have been in their home 15, 20 years. They've got a ton of equity. Maybe they're more like, my age, closer to retirement than anything else. And, kids are out of the nest where, hey, maybe we don't need all this square footage. And for those people, they have an opportunity where they can sell, take that equity and pay cash for something that they downsize. And then these rates are a non-issue. It doesn't matter.
Right.
you
Doesn't
know.
matter.
And so I've had a fair amount of conversations with some people about that too. It's like, hey, this might be your best opportunity. There's pressure on the pricing right now. And if the rates aren't an issue for you, take advantage.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Go against the grain.
Yeah, totally. It's always a good
What are you
time to
doing?
buy.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you doing for the holidays?
We're actually hanging out this year. We're not going anywhere, and it should be pretty nice. Yeah.
Is
How about you?
it where you're at? Does it snow?
Oh yeah. Yep. I actually had my first ski day Sunday. I got up and
Really?
skied at Park City for, I think I made 5 runs till it hurt, and then said that's enough for now. We've
How
had
far
some,
away?
it's 20, 30 minutes. Dude, we're
No,
so
that's
spoiled.
amazing.
We're so spoiled.
I've never been to Utah. I've
You got
never
to come
been.
out. You got to come out,
Yeah.
man.
I heard they have great mountain biking, and I don't know why I've never been out there just for the mountain biking part of it.
And it's all so close. Like literally, we have seven resorts within 30 minutes of us in Salt Lake City. You could
That's
literally
crazy.
you could literally fly in the morning. They actually do packages where you can fly in the morning, ski, and then fly out the same day. That's how close it all is.
That's crazy.
So
That's
yeah,
so cool.
I know we're pretty
Yeah.
spoiled,
Yeah,
and we
that's
know
good. And you're like, I'm sitting tight right here. Well, hey, Tony, I appreciate you jumping on. I'm glad that we were able to finally get you on.
it. Yeah, I
It
appreciate
probably
it.
is better for you to be here. It was probably better you being in your home office than being up in the cabin. You never know what went on there.
Right? Yeah, you never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate you jumping on. Yeah, I guess I won't be talking to you. We'll be chatting again.
Yeah.
I need to pick your brain a little bit on some other things on our cabin. I think now that we've got it stabilized, the bigger CapEx items, I think it's time to look into some other things.
Yeah.
Kind of
Time to change the
maximize it.
lipstick color.
Yeah, and I think those things I think they would pay off. I
They
think
do.
just like getting the fishing poles, I think that would pay off.
Yeah.
Honestly. Wait, what was the other one that you did? You did the
But yeah, so we did, let's see, we did the fishing poles, we did, we added a gate. We took that from your property. We saw like, oh, a gate, that's a great idea when we went in to go on pet friendly. Finally did
yes.
a gate on my other one, but I think the thing I shared with you is we did a s'mores kit, a tabletop s'mores kit.
Yes, that's right.
And we've had, honestly, in probably 2 months' time, we've had more specific call outs in reviews about our s'mores kit than anything else
And
besides
how
our
much did that
views.
cost you?
Oh, $26.
Done.
Yeah,
I'm getting one
all
too.
day long. I'll send you the link.
That sounds good. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Tony, for jumping on today. I really appreciate it. You brought a lot of really good insights, especially for somebody that wanted to, get going on a short term and in a mountain cabin or anywhere that's up in the mountains. I think some of the information we passed along was definitely valuable. So
Couldn't
really
agree
appreciate
more.
you for jumping on.
Thanks for the invite.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Take care.
See ya.
Thank you for tuning into our show, where we hope you found inspiration and gained valuable insights. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to stay updated on our latest episodes, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and share it with others who might benefit from it. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more candid conversations and breakthrough moments in the future. Until next time, take care and keep exploring new ideas and strategies.